What's good everyone on YouTube? It's me again, back with another video, and I know it's been a while since I've posted a video. Like I said, the last time I went on a bit of a break, there just haven't been many shoes I've been picking up. And for today's video, this was originally supposed to be a regular review of this shoe, but I got a little too excited and wore the shoe before getting the review done. So we've got a worn shoe. So instead, I'm going to be doing a after wear review format for this particular shoe. And the shoe today, as you've probably seen in the thumbnail, is the Adidas Forum 84 in, I think the team green colorway, I'm not too sure. Recently, Adidas has been retroing a lot of Forum colorways, and they've been bringing them out in both this 84 retro vintage looking style, as well as the regular style. And I must say that the vintage styles have been really interesting, and it looks very much like something straight from the 80s. So when I saw this green colorway, I thought it looked really beautiful. Picked it up. I've worn this shoe for a single day and I wore it for a full day, so I've got a pretty good idea of like the things I already like and the things I don't like as much about this shoe. So without further ado, I'll just quickly show you the shoe on camera right now. So here's the shoe itself. It's been worn for a day. There really hasn't much hasn't happened to this shoe. There really hasn't been any creasing. It actually creases right where the tongue starts, so you don't actually see that crease very much. It's a little dusty, but aside from that, it looks pretty much how it's supposed to look straight out of the box. Sans the outsole, which definitely that white part definitely is not white anymore. So that's sort of how the shoe looks like now, and we'll get into my pros for this shoe. I love jump cuts in this video format because I don't think about these pros and cons very far in advance. My first pro for this shoe is actually going to be the comfort of this shoe. So despite the fact this is a silhouette from 1984, out of like some of Adidas's old like basketball silhouettes, this is actually surprisingly comfortable. As you've probably seen, I have a review of the Rivalry, and the Rivalry supposedly is a more modern Adidas basketball shoe, being in the 1986. I'm not too sure, I'll fact check that one. But despite the fact that is the more recent model, I actually think this model underfoot is actually softer. There's something about this midsole that just isn't as stiff as the original, as the Rivalry, and it just, as a consequence, compresses a lot more. And the upper itself is fine. The upper really is just like leathers and like suede, so it doesn't really do much for that. But in terms of the underfoot comfort, for a shoe of this age, this is actually a surprisingly comfortable shoe. So that's my first pro for this shoe, surprising comfort on a 1980s basketball shoe. My second pro for this shoe is actually just all the vintage sort of details on this shoe. So I know it's been sort of a trend on like Instagram and stuff to sort of like age your shoes, and Adidas has done a really good job in aging this shoe in a very sort of classy way. So the midsole itself has this very distinct like discoloration. It's got this like cream color to it, and when you compare it to the white foam on the inside, you can see that there's quite a strong sort of yellow hue to it. And probably one of my favorite details about this shoe is the yellow edges found on some of the leather panels. So along the edges, you've got this like kind of like pea color, and it really kind of adds to the sort of vintage look of this shoe. And just overall, there really isn't any pure whites on this shoe, aside from maybe the side panels, which are a little more white than the rest of the shoe. But aside from that, I feel like they've really done a good job in translating the vintage look on a brand new shoe. So if you're someone who really is looking to get like a vintage shoe that kind of looks the part, but you don't necessarily want to actually buy vintage, this is a really good option in my opinion. So that's my second pro for this shoe, the vintage aesthetic of this shoe. My third and final pro for this shoe is just the ease of use of this shoe in terms of slipping it on and off. So what I've done here is I've done the laces quite loosely, but because the strap is right at the top of the shoe, all it takes is to undo the Velcro strap, slide your foot in, and then put the Velcro strap back on. And honestly, the lockdown is pretty good. I'm someone who doesn't like a lot of heel slippage. I know some people can deal with it, but I just don't really like it. And this strap really alleviates that issue, which allows me to leave the shoe nice and relaxed while also having decent lockdown and not having my heel slide out of the shoe. So that would be my third pro for this shoe, just the ease of use in terms of slipping it on and off. So that's the first 3 pros. Because we're all about equal merits, we're going to go into the cons of this shoe. My first con for this shoe, and I guess this isn't really something about wearing, but just like the craftsmanship on this shoe has not really been up to par. So as you'll probably see in some of the B-roll, there's a lot of glue stains on around the shoe, and this is already after I've picked away a lot of glue on some of the leather panels. But especially on the back of the suede panel, you can't really get the glue off on those areas, and it's pretty obvious. And even just after a day of wear, it picked up a lot of dirt on those glue portions. Not only are there glue portions on the suede, but there's also a little bit on the sock liner as well as the back of I think the right shoe's tongue. And I just find that like all those like little glue stains and stuff just really aren't something that I really enjoy having on the shoe. Now to be fair, this isn't really an expensive shoe, so I understand that, and the material quality itself is pretty good, but just the craftsmanship is actually quite it's quite poor, to be honest. So that would be my first con for this shoe. Just the craftsmanship in terms of like glue stains is pretty apparent on this shoe. My second con for this shoe would actually just be the toe box shallowness, specifically in this area. So in terms of like the depth of the toe box in the actual end of it, it's deep enough for most people's toes, I feel, to have enough space. But where your like foot starts to like widen a little bit around like your ball of the foot, this part is actually about the same kind of height, like it's a little bit thicker, but it's a double layered sort of leather panel. So for myself, I have quite skinny feet, and even I could feel this sort of pressing a little bit on my foot. It didn't cause immense discomfort, but it was just something I noticed. And I could definitely see if someone had a much like sort of thicker foot that was much taller at the end, I could definitely see this being an issue for those kind of people. So the toe box depth is, well, I guess the ball of the foot depth is just not really adequate in my opinion, and it could cause discomfort for those with thicker feet. So that would be my second con for this shoe. Just like the toe box height around the ball of the foot is not really adequate in my opinion. Really stretching it here. My third and final con for this shoe would actually just be the lack of option to take the strap off completely. So I know the form is kind of iconic in having the strap, especially in the high top form where it kind of like wraps around. But I'm always someone who likes options, and the fact that you don't even have the choice of removing the strap is a little bit concerning. Now for myself, I personally really like the strap, and as I explained in the third pro for this, the strap actually provides the lockdown required to keep my heel in place, so that's something I quite like. But I definitely can notice that the strap does make the shoe look a lot bulkier than it actually is. If you like compare this to say a Rivalry, it has a lot more of a, I guess like a skater shoe kind of look, something along the lines of like a Dunk SB or like those Fat DC shoes. The strap just adds a lot of like top weight to it, just in terms of the look. And for those who aren't really into that, they don't even have the option to remove the strap completely. So I guess you can have it hanging off, but I think at that point you may as well just strap the shoe on correctly. So that would be my third and final con for this shoe. Just the lack of choice between having the strap on or off. Kind of just forces you to wear it in the way that they intend you to wear it, which I'm fine with, but that could be something for you to consider. So we did it, 3 pros and 3 cons, really sort of squeezing it out there. And just going on to my final thoughts about this shoe, you know, honestly, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, especially in terms of the aesthetic. I find that this vintage sort of finish on this Forum 84 really kind of adds to, I guess, the story and the history of the shoe. You know, when you look at this shoe, you almost kind of think this was straight from 1984. And, well, it is a model from 1984, so I like the fact that they did the treatment to make it look like a shoe that had been aged from that point. So, overall, I just do think that if you're, like, someone who's looking for, like, an alternative to, let's be honest, lots of, like, Nike Jordan 1s or, like, Nike SBs, SB Dunks, this is a really good choice in my opinion. And, if anything, they've really done the vintage look much better than any Jordan or Nike SB release I've seen in a while. So I'll leave it off for that. So with that, we'll come to the end of another video. So I'd like to hear what you guys think of the Forum 84 in this like green colorway, and what are some of your favorite Forum 84 colorways. So for myself, the blue pair definitely was one of my favorites, but you know, I have a lot of blue shoes, so I thought green would be a nice switch up. So yeah, after one day of wear, and I've already got all these thoughts. But hey, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And if you're into more shoes, dance, vlogs, that sort of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. And catch you guys in another video.